Hi, my name's John. I run First Advantage Tennis. You may have noticed we've been doing some little interviews with some of the people we know who had a great success or had a great experience by playing tennis. This week we've got some information from Stuart Yarwood about this club here. This is Brymbo Tennis Club, and over the years it's produced Welsh internationals. It's had its lion's share of county players, and in the last few years it hasn't quite had the same success. And we're hoping that this information that Stuart can give us, that tells us all about the past, can be an amazing kickstart to get this next season up and going, introduce new people to the sport, and really get Brymbo back where it has been in the past. So, have a listen to what Stuart's got to say, and I hope you have a good day.
Well, you'd be surprised, actually. I played football.
Yeah.
No, I played for Wrexham Juniors, which is like I suppose it's the academies, as they call them these days, I suppose, until I was about 14. And then I switched over to tennis because the football coach was saying, carry on, you've got a future in football. And a guy called John Jones, who was the president of Brymbo, pulled me aside and said, ditch the football, you've got a future in tennis. And I went to tennis just purely and simply because I kept on breaking too many bones in football. I was in goalkeeper, I was. Tennis would be the better option for health. But I didn't start playing serious tournaments until I was about 15. Worst day of my life, or one of them, was actually watching a tennis match. My brother used to play for the county, junior county. He's a few years older than me. I went to a place called Keele in Staffordshire, the university there. And obviously mum and dad had to take Craig, so I had to go. I did nothing but moan all day. And I really spat my dummy. I couldn't believe how bad a day it was. I hated tennis, but I hated that day. It actually sticks in my mind now, and it forever will. It was the worst day of my life. I'd only be about 9 or 10 then. So, and yet within a few years, you couldn't keep me off a court. The biggest one, obviously playing from the country. Playing for Wales in tennis has obviously got to be the highest level I could get to. Got to be the proudest moment of my life. Now, again, allowing for the time difference, I think it was £35 a year. It was more like a youth club from a kid's point of view. Obviously, the seniors were still going as well. If you didn't want to play, you could just sit and drink coffee and tea all night if you wanted to. We actually had an Italian night because my mate Capadonna, as you can probably gather, he was Italian. Again, it was very much a very close club. There was none of this hierarchy that you get, and the certain divisions or certain people that you will talk to and you can't talk to. It was very much family, to be honest with you. So we all ended up in Brymbo for various reasons. There was a guy called Nick Jones, who was in the top 5 in the country. I was playing doubles with my brother against Capadonna and his partner. Capo was a left-hander. And all 4 of us ended up at the net, which was unusual for me. I hit this ball to Capo, and with him being left-handed, he was at an angle where he played a lovely lob, to be fair. How he played, I don't know, but it was at such an angle that was running towards the other court. Very, very shallow angle. So I was running back, and you're always told to keep your eyes on the ball. Well, I did. But in Garden Village, they were shale courts. And in between the courts, you had the watering facilities. So you had to set up pipes. And I knocked myself clean out. And Craig lost the point. Yeah, there's quite a few friends, actually. John Capadonna, as mentioned earlier. We still speak now and again. But, once you get married and you diverse away from things, it's only because of Facebook, if I have to admit it, really, that, we got back in touch. There was another guy called Greg Ashfield. He was a good player, just a little bit below where Capadonna and myself, Fisher were. He's actually got a son who plays very good golf now as well, apparently. He's the next one to look forward to if you've got a few quid to spare. Fisher, I've spoken to him on Facebook a few times, but I said he's in Hong Kong, so it's difficult. Steve Lewis, he's in UAE, so I don't speak to him now. You had Steve just mentioned. He lived in Mold, but Mold really didn't have much of a club then. So that's why he came to Brymbo. Capadonna lived in Deeside. We were lucky in that way. It just ended up that the group of juniors that we had there went on to make a half decent name for themselves, and Nick Jones, who I mentioned from Neston, he was Welsh champion several times over. Capadonna, well, he won the Welsh in his last year. You had my brother. Obviously, I still keep in touch with him. You've got 3 junior champions, multiple junior champions in 2 cases, just from the same club. You've got another one who appeared in Edinburgh, which is myself. And that's just having a small club like Brymbo, which takes some doing. Ewan Jones, who I mentioned, he was the founder of the place, to be honest. And without him, there wouldn't be a Brymbo Tennis Club. Eventually, it was built. And if it hadn't been for Ewan, and he was a coach as well, Ewan, and he, I think, was pretty much solely responsible for generating a lot of interest with the kids, because that was his areas with the juniors. He preferred the junior girls and the girls' side of it, but that's when it came to county week. He'd always go and watch them, not us. But he was solely responsible, in my opinion anyway, for inspiring the juniors that we've got there. But you don't realise until you do achieve things and you're getting slightly better why you got slightly better. Yeah, but you also have to have somebody that helps you and point out where you're going wrong. And he was exceptional, to be fair. We had a good team there for a good 4 or 5 years. And yet you go in the social club and you see all the cricket news and all the bowling news and squash news about the tennis, and yet we were achieving all sorts of things. Just a little club they didn't want. It was bringing in silverware left, right and centre. Well, going back to the indoor tennis centre, I know Granville is obviously part of that now, but I believe they only have the advantage of booking a court outdoors, I believe. I'm not sure about that, but the one advantage that we always did have over them is the fact that you could walk on court for a start. Even on a Tuesday, Thursday, it was, you didn't have to take your partner or your friend up there. You'd always get a game. There's people there. You got a much friendlier atmosphere. It's not all business-like. It's a beautiful tennis centre, don't get me wrong, but it's all very official. You book your court, you play for your hour, you go home. And there doesn't seem much of a, well, not to me anyway, perhaps it's me getting old, but it just doesn't give you anything. And Brymbo always had that atmosphere of being family orientated, and people went there to enjoy it, not just to play serious tennis. It was tennis for all levels. I know they got the softball and stuff indoors, but man, if you look at how much you're going to be charging and how much your folks are going to be paying, you've got a perfectly good club up the road, which could be a little learn of that. Well, I think the benefits, as I mentioned, is the family environment that we had. The fact that you're not stuck to any levels. There's no pressure on you. If you go down to the indoor and hire a court for yourself for an hour, and again, this is only a personal thing, but you feel like you're being watched from all angles, that sort of puts a bit of pressure on you. You can't really enjoy your game, if you know what I mean. I'm talking about kids of 10 or 11 or something. It can be very distracting, I find that. But at least in Brymbo, you've got the friendliness. If you can play with your partner, you know your level, that's fine. But you can also go up there and mix in and get across a taste of what it's like across all the levels, if you wanted to. Self-working there as coaching now, that's something that we never had, not full-time. I know Ewan was a coach, but done like that back in the day. The advantage of having a coach there as well. Well, they've got the facilities that they need, and if they want to use them, that's down to the individual. But it's an advantage of what we had.
Yeah.
We had the coach on side. Never had a coach there that we could just go to.
Yeah.
I don't know what the rates are or anything like that, but I think you would certainly advance in your career, as I did, from an environment like that, rather than being pushed and pushed and pushed. It's a lot easier coming from a friendly environment, and you don't even recognize yourself that you are actually getting better.